Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Aesop Grim, and this is the first episode of our next Chronicle number 3 overall for Elite Dangerous. And I'm going to explain some things to you because there's been a little bit of shakeup here. This Chronicle is on unlocking engineers. Man, I got like a lot of things I want to get out. So bear with me, this might be a little bit choppy. Number 1, this is a playthrough, not a tutorial. Number 2, I know a little bit about working with the engineers. I've engineered a frame shift drive to grade 5, but that's as far as I've gone. Everything else after that is a learning experience for me. The whole purpose of this playthrough is to document that learning experience and to see how it works out for somebody who's doing it for the first time, you know, and I don't know, gather lessons learned and maybe shorten other people's learning curve and stuff like that. But just to get the experience documented and out there on YouTube, on my, stored on my channel, archived, I guess. So that's what I'm aiming for. Number 3, the primary, target is my Crate Mark II. But I will be using an ASP Explorer to actually fly around to the different engineers and level them up. So the ASP Explorer is probably going to be getting engineered as well, but I'm really wanting to get the crate engineered. Okay, now the next thing I want to say is that I had 6 videos recorded where I was going through the actual farming of the materials. There's another video by Hawks Gaming that shows you how to farm for engineering materials, but in some cases it was so tedious and difficult, and in some cases I couldn't even get it done, that I felt like I was really defeating the purpose, and all I really need to do is show you one example of what Hawks is talking about, and then that's it. And that's going to be this video number 1. This video right here, we're just going to go over how to go and accomplish what he's talking about, at least what he's talking about in the first half of the video. I've not even really tried the stuff in the second half, because in my approach to this, as I started having bad luck in finding some of the things that he was talking about, including some things he said were easy to find, then I kind of just stopped with it. I decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and follow his guide for the applicable item that I'm looking for when I need it, but let me show you the desktop, and we'll bring up his video right now, because the crux of what this video is talking about, we're going to let him tell it in his own words.
Now that we stocked up pretty good, it's time to use the material trader to trade down some of these T5 mats.
Okay, now he's about to go. We're going to let him speak some more, but that's the big thing. We are going around to what's called high-grade emissions. They fall... The kinds of materials you get from these high-grade emissions depend on the kind of system you're in and the faction state of that system. Or really, to be more blunt or more accurate, the faction state of the high-grade emission that you're chasing down. And what he's saying is that instead of farming for the specific material that the engineer is asking for, which could be a tier 1 or a tier 2 or a tier 3, I think that's how this is going. This is tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's the other way. Okay, so here's military grade alloys. You got tier 1, 2, 3, and it continues down, 4 and 5. No, I am so sorry, guys. That's incorrect. I don't know. Okay. I'm learning. Please forgive me. This basic conductors, this is a tier 1 material. And I think that proto heat radiators, this is a tier 5. And what he's doing is he's finding materials in the tier 5 category that are easy to locate, and he's just stockpiling them. And then he's going to a material trader and he's trading them because one tier 5 material will trade for like 36 of this tier 3 heat exchanger. You know, look at this. You can get 1,200. I think that says 256 of heat conduction wiring. So that's his method. Okay, so let's let him finish up.
Farming these HGEs and getting boat tons of these tier 4 and 5 mats is the way to go. It's far more efficient than collecting your materials from destroyed ships or messing around at Dav's Hope, like I used to do back in my other video.
Okay, so tier 4 and 5 is what he's that's the whole rest of this video, at least this part. Over here, we're talking about signals that and specific planets you can go to farm stuff. But this right here, these are the HGE mats, high-grade emissions materials that you can farm. And like I said, what he's teaching you is that it's better to go out and find these tier 4 and 5 materials and then trade down. For this is going to be the area. These are the things that the engineers are going to want. But you can get a bunch of them by trading down instead of going to do missions or to farm them from wrecks of PvP kills. Well, PvE combat kills. I mean, not PvP. And stuff like that. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And that's what this whole video is about. Now, I have not even made it into this. Once I got out into these areas, and I'm like, man, it's taking me forever and a day to find this stuff, and it's very frustrating. I stopped recording videos, and I also stopped going through this video, and I figure I'll come back to these as I need it. I want to get started on the engineers. But what we're going to do now is we're going to look at, I don't know, let's look at... I'm trying to remember what might have been easy. Let's look at military grade alloys. Okay.
Now we're on the hunt for military grade alloys. They can be found in any system, high population, state war, or civil war.
Okay. Well, what does that mean and how do we find it? They can be found in any system. Actually, let's not do in any system.
Imperial shielding is best found in Empire, high population, state none, or election.
Okay. So Imperial shielding, and how do we find this? It's found in an Empire. So allegiance is Empire space, high population, and the faction state will either be none or election. State election. Okay, how do we find these things? Well, apparently from what he's doing here... Oh, you know what? I never hit start on my timer, but that's okay. We'll just stick with this for as long as it takes. What he's doing, or what he's showing us here, is that you can go into your galaxy map and you can just click on these destinations and this info pops up. So you can find it that way. But a faster way, and probably what he's doing, is he's going to EDDB. So you just Google, you saw what I did there, you Google EDDB, and then you just click it, and then you're going to open up the Systems tab. Now we're going to need to know where we're at. So let's tab back into the game. We are in the Mu Array system. Mu Array. Okay. So under reference system, we'll put Mu Array. Okay. And it said the allegiance, according to the video, for what we're looking for. What are we looking for? Imperial shielding? Yes. Imperial shielding. It's going to be in an Imperial area, so allegiance is Empire. The population will be high, but let's not worry about that just yet. It said you could go with a faction state of none, but let's look at election was the other one. Now you don't want to put both, I don't think. Let me try. Maybe you can. Yeah, okay. See, there are no results that are in a faction state of both none and election. It's going to be one or the other. See, that's what this is saying. It's not saying election or none. It's saying election and none. So we're going to take none out. Okay, now once you have this, sort by population. Okay, it looks like CD74632 is the highest populated one. High populations they tend to help because you get more chance. It's like a higher chance of getting one or more high-grade emission signals, and I'll show you how to find that here in a minute. He talks about it in the video. I'm following his video. I'm going to show you his method. So, but then I'm going to show you something else also. So we're going to Control C that. We're going to copy that. Okay. Now we're going to Alt Tab back in, and we're going to bring up our galactic map. For me, I have it hotkeyed. We're going to plug this bad boy in. Select it. Now, notice that info's not coming up for me. I'm not sure what he's doing where his displays all the info. That would be nice. That would be nice. I need to come over here. If I click this tab, I can see that it's Empire. It's got a high population, and it's in a state of election. But it would be nice if it showed up over here like his did. Anyway, I'm sure that there's a setting in here I can pick that will allow for that, but I don't know what it is. So we're 4 jumps out, okay? Make sure that you are stocked up on limpets, okay? I have 51 of them, so I'm going to want to refill before I leave here. So I'm going to go to Starport. Oh, you know what? I don't think they have any. I'm at a hangar. Yeah, fuel store. So then what I'm going to do is within this same system. Well, actually, I'm just going to roll with what I got. 51 should be enough for me, just showing you an example. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put you on pause, and I'm going to make these 4 jumps, okay? So, on pause you go as of right now. Okay, guys, we're jumping into the system that we targeted. And what we're going to do is we're going to look for the Nav Beacon. We're going to navigate to that, and we're going to drop out of Super Cruise. So first, let's avoid the sun. Second, let's target the Nav Beacon. Third, let's go ahead and honk the system. Okay, here we go. Push to 35% or 75% throttle. We might have been a bit too late on that. Looks like we're going to pass this thing by. And we are. Okay, so drop speed. Rotate around. Try that again. And drop Super Cruise. Go ahead and kill the engines as well. It's never right here. It's always somewhere around it. There it is. It's always somewhere around it. You got to look at what I call the halo around it. You know, just imagine that there's a halo there. And then don't pass it. Just kind of put your reticule on it and you'll scan it. It'll tell you scan complete. So now what we're going to do is we're going to boost out of here because we're kind of close to this sun. But what we want to do is we want to get back into Super Cruise. Now see, it's telling us that we have a disruptive body. Because of that, you want to put all your pips into your engine and you want to boost away. All right, there we go. Now once you're back in a Super Cruise, after scanning the Nav Beacon, You can come over here and see if there's any high grade, and there is. High grade emission. There's 3 of them. I've never seen 3. Okay. Well, we're going to go to 1. And there's 14 minutes left on that. It's a faction state of none, so that would work. You're looking really for 25 minutes or better remaining. This is a faction state of none. It's only got 1:30 left. And this one's got 19 minutes left, also a faction state of none. We were hoping kind of for election, but it doesn't matter. On this particular one, it was just faction state of 1. So for example purposes only, this is the closest one. And so we'll just head to this one. There's 13.5 minutes left. All right, so we're going to ramp up the speed. All right, so that's what I mean. Like there's a faction there, and then there's a state. And we're looking for a state of none or election. As long as you have that criteria, empire allegiance, high population, faction state of none or election, you should be able to find Imperial shielding. I have found this to sometimes not be the case with some of these mats, and I can't explain why. I don't know enough about this stuff to be able to tell you why. I can just pass on my experience, okay? But more often than not, you're going to find what Hawks Gaming told you is there. So we'll see if that's true in this one. 30 light seconds out. I'm at 75% throttle, so we don't do a loop of shame. Now you can farm these, and I'll show you how. And also, Hawks checked with FDev, Frontier Development, and asked, is this an exploit, the way that you farm these? And they said it is not. So you should be good to go. Let's kill the thrusters. And we have Imperial shielding. Now, I think I'm maxed out, okay? But you would go to your collectors. Send your collectors out. Open your cargo scoop. Now, my experience is that my collector dies as soon as it delivers. My first one, 9 times out of 10, it dies. It doesn't seem to matter what I do. Okay, well, I did collect it. But yeah, my collector limpet expired. So I can see there's 2 more canisters out there. So I will launch 2 limpets, just for example purposes. Now you can get anywhere from 3 to 6 canisters, and each one of these canisters has 3 elements of what you're looking for in them. I think it just told me that I'm full. Yeah, no space for materials, so we're done. Now you can close your hatchet. Okay. Now let's say that I wasn't done. Let's say that I just have 15 of them. I'm trying to get to about 100. Okay. That's what farming is, right? We're going to trade all these mats for a bunch of other mats that we need. So you want to max out on them. How do you do that? Well, you reset the site. And how do you do that? You exit. And you have to exit all the way. You cannot exit to menu on this. You need to quit all the way to desktop. So we'll go ahead and do that. And this is why you want your high-grade emission signal to have at least 25 minutes left on it. But you take what you can get, you know. And we're back up again. And you'll hit play. This part is important also. Once the servers come up, you'll continue, and you have to make sure that you join the same kind of server that you were on before. Okay, so for me, it's always solo play, or almost always. Now, once you're in, you're gonna jump into frame shift, boost, throttle up. As soon as you're in Super Cruise, open up your info panel. Target the nearest unidentified signal. It's going to be right behind you. Throttle down a little bit. Flip a UE. Once you have it inside, if it's at 7 seconds or below, push to 75% throttle. There's your high-grade emissions. It tells us we have about 8 minutes left on this site. Okay, drop out of Super Cruise, kill your engines, and bam, there you are again, right? It looks like we got 4 canisters this time. You can get, remember, you can get 3 to 6 of them, and each one of them carries 3 examples of the material you're looking for. Now, I'm not even going to send collector limpets out because I know that I'm full. You can see it in the bottom left. Now that I've targeted one of these, Imperial shielding, my inventory is 100 of 100. Okay, but if you do not find a high-grade emissions signal in here, which is possible, you could scan that nav beacon and there are no high-grade emissions, then you just start hopping to other systems. You go back to your EDDB and you just look for the next one and you go there. Now, I'm going to show you something that I don't know if it's the best way to do it, but it's a tool that you can use, okay? And I'm pretty sure I've shown this before, but this is a good chance to just do it again. Once you're in Super Cruise, drop down to 0. Make sure you've honked this system. I mean, if you haven't, then you have another opportunity, but honk the system. Maybe I find it helpful to enable your orbital lines. I just enabled mine. You can't see them because we're not traveling fast. And open up your FSS. You should have a hotkey for that. And these are the orbital lines. See, it's helpful. Now, in this mode, if you have not already honked your system, if you look at the bottom where it says zoom, I believe right there it'll says honk the system, and it'll tell you what key that you have bound to it, and you can do it in here. But otherwise, right there on the graph, the bar graph there, where it says filtered spectral analysis, slam that thing to the left. All right, and then all of these little places here, you can zoom into them, and that's an encoded emission. This is close. What is this? So see, I kind of bounced up a little bit. I just moved my bar up a little. This is still a kind of emission. There we go. Golden Ridge Ranch. I don't know. I've never seen them named like that. That's interesting. That is interesting. Okay. That's a degraded emission. Encoded. Degraded. So I have actually found high-grade emissions on here before that were not listed whenever I scanned that beacon. And I think it's because this stuff tends to whatever it is that causes a high-grade emission happens in real time. See, there's one right there. It's got 10 minutes left on it. Now, you see how I did that? Let's look at that again. It's when you get these yellow bars here, you're on target. That and when these rings are solid, right? These white rings. So I know that I can zoom in right here. And then it tells me that it's these white jaggy pips down here. Now, I've already scanned this area, so they're not white now, they're gray. But that's what leads you to it. You just keep zooming in, and it's like a little follow the rabbit trail. You know, so see the white pips? They're saying there's signals this way. So now I've got this one. Now notice how the bottom set of white pips are gone. That's because I found everything that was nearby. There is another one. It is saying is in here. And I don't know. I don't see it. But that's how you use the FSS. And it helps to have orbital lines on so that you can just scan the planes. You scan the orbital planes. See, here's one right here. Follow the pips. Encoded emission. So I think it's actually best to just simply go to the next system on EDDB. But I wanted to take the time to show you the FSS because this might be useful in other applications down the line. It's just nice to know how to do. So we were in a position to sort of show an example of how to use the FSS, so I figured we'd do it. Okay, let's adjust a little bit. There we go. We tuned into the frequency. We got weapons fire there. Okay. And then you can get out. All right, now, how long have I been recording? Out of curiosity. We're at 27 minutes. So there we go. That's pretty much a normal episode. And that's it. That's how you use Hawk's Guide, at least for the first half. Okay. The second half is going to be about scanning signals, going to specific sites and farming materials there, but we'll revisit this as we need. In the next episode number 2, we're going to actually begin. I'm actually going to call this episode 1A. So in episode 1B, we're going to actually begin the engineering journey, and we're going to visit Felicity Farseer. So that'll close it out for this episode. Yeah, there we go. I'm so bad at wrapping things up. Again, I'm Aesop Grimm. Thank you for coming by the channel, and I'll see you in the next episode where this story continues. Thanks for visiting Aesop Grimm's Chronicles. If you've made it this far in the video, please consider rating, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. I hope to see you in the next episode, and until then, stay shiny.